Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome back once again. Today we're going to take another look at Urban EDC Supply and one of their unique offerings. This time, the little tiny baby knife. This is the Copita, and it is one of the tiniest knives I've ever had a chance to play with. It may be a bit small for my personal taste, but there's a lot of people out there that live in very restrictive states that don't allow them to carry a normal size knife that are going to find this to be very, very useful. It's also a great little backpack knife. It's great to keep in the car, keep in the glove box, have rattling around in the car because you're not spending a lot of money on it. It's tiny, it's unobtrusive, it's not taking up a lot of room. But before we get into the knife, I want to remind you, like I did on my previous video about the F5.5, let's talk for a couple of seconds about what Urban EDC Supply is all about. Listen, we spend a lot of time scouring the internet looking for knife retailers that offer us the best deals and the best customer service and the fastest shipping. What Urban EDC Supply is, they're like a hybrid of two types of popular websites these days for EDC supplies. One is just a traditional, regular online retailer. You can go there, you can look for something, you find something you like, you click buy, you order it, you pay for it, and it's out the door. The other thing is a drop type website where they do scheduled drops, a limited release on a particular day at a particular time at a very particular price discount, and offer that item until it sells out, and then it might be gone forever, or that particular variation will be gone forever. So they do both. You can shop there like a normal website, or when you sign up on their email list, and this is the only way to really get notifications reliably and capitalize on all the deals. You go to their website, you sign up for the email list, and when you get the email that says, hey, this item, and it may be an item that you're interested in, is dropping on this particular date at this particular time, and they may or may not be telling you the price in the email. When you click through and you go there, that item is going to be offered for a limited amount of time at whatever the price happens to be, and that's it. And if you missed it, you're watching all your friends get them, you're watching all these unboxings on YouTube, you're watching people in Facebook groups and on forums saying, hey, I got this really kick-ass little knife, and you're like, shit, I don't even know what that is. Where did you get it? What is it? How much was it? Oh yeah, it was a drop they did a few weeks ago over at Urban EDC Supply, and it was a one-time deal, so sorry you didn't get one. Now you could pay 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, 200% more on the secondary market. So this is your way to get in on some really cool shit, is what I'm trying to tell you. So with that out of the way, let's talk just for a second about the knife. The knife design, and it's pretty easy to look at the design language and see who it is. Jesper Voxnaes, those of you that know Vox Knives, whether you follow Jesper on Instagram or Facebook or any other avenue, he's been designing some really great utilitarian style knives for years, and he goes back quite a long ways. And I think his greatest success now over the past, I'd say good solid 5 years at the very least, is to create collaborations with production manufacturers to offer really affordably priced great designs that you're going to get a lot of use out of. And this, in my opinion, for a lot of people is going to be just that. For somebody like me, this knife is utterly useless because I live in a state where there are no restrictions whatsoever on the size of knives or type of knives that you can carry. So I don't have to limit myself. But there are a lot of people out there. I just started researching knife laws in a couple of different states due to questions that I got from viewers. What was the last one? Delaware was the last one I looked at. You know, you can't carry anything over a 3-inch blade in a folder. And that would restrict 98% of all the folders in my personal collection now. Meanwhile, here in Texas, you can open carry a freaking sword. It doesn't matter. There are no rules. So I do understand that for a lot of regions, you're going to have some very restrictive rules that prohibit the carry and use of certain kinds of knives. And this, I believe, is going to fit into almost everybody's state and regional laws. I mean, obviously, go to knife laws and read up on your state and make sure you know what you're allowed to carry. Because, mean, the worst thing in the world would be pulled over for a speeding ticket or something, and somehow or other the officer finds out that you're carrying a knife and it's a half inch too long, and they're confiscating what you might have paid $1,000 for. They don't give a shit. So yeah, I understand that none of my viewers are going to go out there and assault somebody with a knife. That's not what the knife laws, the enforcement of the knife laws are really all about. It's going to be something rather innocuous. You could be jaywalking. You could have an argument with a bartender. I don't know, any number of things where a police officer might get involved. Maybe they see the clip hanging out of your pocket. Oh, you're carrying a knife. Let me see that. And when they see that it's not the right size to fit in with their laws, they can confiscate it from you. And that would really suck. So here's a knife that, for those people, I think are going to work really good. But if you just have a preference for a smaller knife, I think that you're going to enjoy this a lot. I mean, you've got a frame lock. You've got a nice, very beefy solid lock on this. It's got a really great action. The flipper tab is easy to access. The pocket clip is fantastic. I love the back spacer, the lanyard hole. There's a lot of great details on this knife that make it usable, but actually pretty attractive as well, particularly in this new all blacked out variation. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go down to the table, and we're going to take a close-up look at this and see if you and I agree on the things that I like about this knife, and maybe a few things that I don't like. Don't forget, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Click like, leave comments. That helps the algorithm. People get a chance to see the video more often than not if you're doing that kind of good stuff. Go to my Patreon if you'd like to become a patron, and whether you put in $5 a month or 10 or 20, you get a chance to win some amazing, cool EDC gear, custom knives, mid-tech knives, all kinds of really great stuff. And you're helping the channel. It helps me upgrade the studio, helps me upgrade my camera equipment, and it helps me afford to get in some really awesome knives that I can review, share with you, and in a lot of cases, give away to you as well. So with all that out of the way, let's go down there, take a look at the knife close up, and see if you feel the way I feel about the Copita. All right, let's get into this tiny little son of a gun. And when I say tiny, I do mean tiny. An overall length for the Copita of 5.46 inches, under 5.5 inches in overall length. Blade length is 2.26 inches and is going to be Bowler M390 steel. And I got to tell you, it's an interesting knife to hold. It's an interesting knife to feel. It's got a fair amount of weight to it. You know what? Let's bring out the scale. It's got a fair amount of weight to it for such a tiny knife. Now, I'm not saying that it's heavy. It just doesn't feel cheap. Being a titanium frame lock, I mean, it's not going to feel cheap, but 2.7 ounces, man. How awesome is that? That's a really, really, really lightweight knife to carry around. Certainly going to be EDC pocket friendly. Fidget factor is great. It is going to be extremely lightweight, very easy to carry. And the fidget factor, it's a fun little flipper. Really, really nice detent. Perfect detent, as a matter of fact. When I'm really sitting here thinking about it, that really is the perfect detent for this flipper. Very, very well done. You're going to have to find unique ways to situate it in your hand to be able to hold it the right way and access that flipper properly. I do love the pivot. I mentioned during the intro there that I was excited to do the close-ups here for you so you could see the design in the pivot. You do have a reversible pocket clip. We don't see that all too often in the macro brands, in the micro brands. You see it in these big macro brands like Benchmade and stuff like that, but you don't often see it done in these smaller brands with smaller runs. I know the question is going to be, well, Jim, who makes the knife for Urban EDC Supply? Here's the thing, they don't say. It's like, go back to the many, many years ago when I did the, I don't even want to make the comparison. I had made videos on another particular production knife that's extraordinarily popular, and the big mystery is, who the hell makes it? I'm looking at the way this is made, and I know who makes it. I just can't say, because if I say, I don't know if I'm going to cause any trouble for them. Maybe they have an NDA with the manufacturer. I don't know. What I will say is this, because I want to put your mind at ease about it. It's one of the highest quality manufacturers that you will get into. So have no hesitation based on quality, based on performance, based on the heat treat of the steel. Those things are not a concern where this manufacturer comes into play. So I'll say that because it's the only thing that I know that I can safely say without getting into trouble. Now the design, once again, just like with the previous video that I uploaded, is going to be a Voxnaes design, Jesper Voxnaes design. So you see that it flows very organically. There isn't a straight line on this entire knife. Everything flows organically. It's a beautifully shaped knife, and that allows it to fit comfortably in the hand. And I mean, as far as the shape, size, no, you're gonna have to find a way to hold on to this thing. And honestly, if you choke up into that very large, pronounced finger choil, you're still going to get a pretty decent handhold on it. But you're not going to be doing a lot of serious hard labor with this anyway. This is going to be a backup to a backup. You know, this is going to be relegated to light shorts carry. Maybe you're running around in running shorts. Hopefully not in those. Remember those running shorts that we thought were cool in the 80s? Little tiny shorts with the big slit up the side, preferably in silk. Man, if you were a baller, you were rocking the silk ones. I don't even, you know what? They didn't even have pockets, so you couldn't have even carried this. You would have had to clip it inside the waistband, you know, like a real man. And that doesn't take away from the fact that you're wearing a mesh half shirt to go along with your short running shorts. All right, I don't know how I got off on that tangent. Point is, it's going to be relegated to probably lightweight carry. It might be thrown in your EDC, your bug out bag. It could be clipped on the visor inside of your car as a car knife, or tossed in your center console or your glove box. This is not going to be your main carry. I mean, it's so tiny, it makes the VBR look like an absolute monstrosity of a knife. And the VBR is not a large knife by any stretch of the imagination. But you could almost, damn it, you could almost fit the whole knife just in the handle of the VBR. So that gives you a good idea of just how small of a knife we're dealing with here. It is very small. It feels capable. Like I said in the intro, it's useless for someone like me because I don't have any restrictions, so I can carry whatever I want to carry. That being said, if I were the type of person that really liked smaller knives and I was looking for a great small knife to carry, this would certainly be a great choice because it is beautifully designed. I love the lines of it. I think the overall design and the flow of it is what attracts me the most to it. I love how the frame tapers and then the backspacer very slightly protrudes with your lanyard opening. It's a very well thought out design all the way around. The way the chamfer is done, and then it gets more dramatic as that bevel dips down at a different angle toward the front of the frame. All the way around, it's really very nicely designed. And the construction is fantastic. There's your perfectly centered blade. And let's give it an actual real flip so you can see the lockup. There is your lockup. Action is pretty fantastic. I don't know if it's really going to be a drop shut blade because it's so tiny and lightweight. But the smoothness is certainly there. And you'll feel that when you go to open and close it. It's a wonderfully smooth action, very snappy. As I mentioned before, perfect detent on that. Pocket clip, just a basic, bent spring clip made of titanium. Not particularly exciting or doesn't, really wow me. Once again, it protrudes like that other knife to a ridiculous degree where when you're holding the knife, you give that a good squeeze and you'll see where it dug into my hand. You can't mistake that. That's, it is what it is. One thing I like about the clip, however, is the fact that you have these slots milled into it, because it helps you grab the knife and get it out of the pocket, because the meat of your finger will go down into these slots, and the edge of the slot will catch on that and aid in pulling that out of your pocket. There's really not a lot to say about this knife. It is a fairly basic knife, but I tell you, the more I look at it, the more it's not basic. I mean, the design of the custom-made pivot, nicely done. I like that they have a well thought out and a nice design to the filler tab for the reversible pocket clip. You know, that's a smart design. Again, the way the frame drops down and notched out for that back spacer, that spine to come out and create the lanyard opening, the accordion style lock bar relief cut. Yeah, it's a handsome design. If this knife was about 3 inches longer overall, man, I would have a hard time not wanting to have one in my collection. It reminds me a lot, and it's funny because Jesper and Lucas Burnley are friends, but I had I'm sorry, Jens Anzo. I had a Jens Anzo, my God, years and years ago, probably 8-9 years ago, called the Kato. And you can go way back on my channel and see it. C-A-T-O is how it's spelled. And the thing that I loved about it the most was this very similar swooping organic design. It was, I want to say, just about a 3.5-inch blade. The way that thing just melted into my hand with that shape, which is very similar to this, I absolutely loved. It was one of my favorite knives for ergonomics that I've ever owned. So I could definitely see myself being attracted to a super Copita. Maybe that could be done in the future. Give me a Copita with a 3.5-inch blade, 8 inches overall. Yeah, man, that thing would be pretty magnificent. But again, for those of you that appreciate smaller knives, I think that you're going to find a lot to love about this. Very, very useful blade shape. You've got a lot of belly to that blade, a surprising amount of belly. You have a good piercing tip, which I was kind of surprised with the overall shape of the knife. Got a nice piercing tip on there. Again, that finger choil there allows you to choke up on it. Jimping, it's not very strong jimping. It's been rounded off for the crown spine quite a bit. So it's not really going to do a whole heck of a lot, but it exists. It's there. From what I saw, I believe this is going to be at $199. Maybe it's going to be a little bit less during the drop. Not sure. But I think even if it was at $199, I think it's a solid value for what you're getting. Lots of great materials, beautiful design work, great execution. I love the color combination with the black PVD and the bronzed titanium hardware and pivot and backspacer. They did a fantastic job visually pulling all of this together. So kudos to Urban EDC Supply and to Vox for creating what I think is a really good looking little knife. If you have a need for a tiny knife, I would certainly suggest checking this one out. That's it for me today, guys. I'm out of here, and I'll see you on the next video.